say 1910. Imagine how many more scientists, writers, philosophers, and just general good people could have realized their full potential had there been a special education like Finn. Imagine how many more incredible people would be known that just unfortunately didn't get the help they needed because there just wasn't enough people. Nobody even knew back then. I'm Paul, I'm in 10th grade.
And I'm Paul's mom, Missy.
Hi, I'm Jessica Schubert. I am currently a special education teacher at Stadium Drive Elementary. It's located in Boardman, Ohio. I have been teaching special education at Stadium Drive for 7 years, and I teach kids on IEPs. I teach kids currently this year in 2nd grade and 3rd grade. I work with them in their classroom in the inclusion setting, and I also will work with them in my classroom to work on their IEP goals, and I absolutely love my job.
I'm Tom Erickson. I'm a graduate of YSU in May of 2019, special education mild to moderate K-12.
I'm Dr. Pam Epler. I am an assistant professor here at Youngstown State University. I teach undergraduate special education classes to the upperclassmen, juniors and seniors, and I also teach graduate classes online.
My name is Courtney Cruz. I'm an instructor at Youngstown State University. I teach in the Early Childhood Intervention Specialist program, and I also have a background in early childhood as I taught students in grades 1 through 3 with special needs for 10 years.
I'm lucky. I can talk to you right now, and I can articulate my feelings and everything I need to you right now. But a lot of kids can't do that. So special ed teachers, sometimes they're gonna have to be the voice for those people to show them, hey, they're really cool, and they deserve just as much respect as you guys. Someday maybe someone will see this person with sensory processing disorder or autism or something go on to do this really cool thing. They're like, oh, that guy's awesome. And it's all going to come down to those teachers that made it so that he can feel comfortable doing what he loves.
You are the conduit to creating a successful environment for students like Paul.
I want a special education teacher that's going to listen to him, that's going to understand that, yeah, he's got his little quirks, but talk to him about the weather. Hey, let's talk about some social cues. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Tell me about the weather. What have you learned,
They need someone to speak for them, especially at the elementary stage. They need a voice, and you're that voice, because before they qualified for an IEP, they were in the classroom just getting lost because they couldn't keep up. Now, the beauty of the special education program in our district and our state is that we are giving these children a person, which I'm an intervention specialist, a specialist that's going to help them.
Knowing that what you're born with, changes how the school views you, it's one of the worst feelings in the world. I can tell you that from personal experience. So just making those kids feel normal and like they're part of the group, that does more than I think anything else you could do as a teacher. Well, first of all, it lets me do math class at all, and lets me, do all these big papers and do all the work. I just need someone to put it to paper. And, not all special ed kids would necessarily have that, because that's kind of a luxury that I've had.
It's so rewarding for you as a teacher, because you wrote that IEP goal, you gave them the intervention, and they applied it themselves. So it's really rewarding for you as a teacher to see that growth and that progress that each child is making.
It's a mystery, if you will. We're kind of detectives and figuring out what works well for that student. We have to be very creative. We have to come up with different ways to approach things. And our students all come with a variety of needs. Again, what may work for one student may not for the other.
I think receiving the help that he's needed at all the different levels of education has allowed him to get to the place that he is now. And he still struggles with math and spelling and things like that, and will probably always, to a degree, need assistance in that area with adaptive technologies and extra time and things like that. So there's still some unknowns there, but
all I can say in that department is just thank you, Google.
yeah,
I wrote an entire paper using Google's text-to-speech voice, so
yeah.
it's a good resource. What a lot of people don't know, don't see, is they can do it, and they're willing to do it, but they just need that vehicle to do it. And in my case, it was someone to help me write it or help me with the math problems. But I was willing and ready to do it. I just needed someone to help me. I got lucky because my academic thing was history. So my history teacher, he was my favorite teacher because he was like super strict. Nobody could talk in his class. No nonsense. And I was like, I love this guy. Everybody else is like, ah. He was one of the people who knew everything. Whenever I got close to anything bad happening, he had these books, specific books, on his shelf. And they were the history of the United States of America. Massive, encyclopedias on it. He would let me read them whenever anything got bad. And when I left the school, he gave me the books. I still have them in my room. And something as small as having a book can completely change how a student thinks about your class.
I love parents of kids with special needs because they are so thankful and so proud of their child every day, and it's so exciting when they get a concept. I can't tell you enough how much I love calling parents or writing notes and telling them, look what your child did today. I'm constantly taking pictures and showing these parents on conferences, look at this. This is what your child can do. A lot of parents don't know that because when they come home from working all day and their child's exhausted from school, they don't see that. So I have the luxury of getting the best hours of the day with their child and seeing that, and it's a huge benefit as a special education teacher.
It's nice to see how families interact with their students and then being able to interact with the student as well. You get to see both sides of it. So you get to see how the family interacts, you get to see the students' interactions, you get to interact with the student, you get to interact with family.
But I do think, having good teachers that have had information that I didn't have, like what is the best talk to text for paper writing, which calculator is the best to use, things that as a parent would be difficult for me to research and find out. When you have people within the school district that are trained and know, they can point you in the right direction and kind of help make it easier for me as a parent.
Working with families is by far one of my most favorite things about special education. I learned very early on that this is a skill that every special educator must master in order to see success in their student. You will see more success in a student when you have made that relationship, because you're going to have good communication skills between family and teacher. Paul was one of my former students, and Missy was one of the parents that I worked very closely with for a lot of years, as Paul was my student for 3 years. And that relationship has continued on to now we get to advocate for students with special needs.
My oldest son, he's 16 now, he's a junior in high school, but he's on the spectrum. We got him in a new school, and the principal seemed like they actually cared, and they had intervention specialists that cared. It was amazing. His whole world turned around. He went from being a C and a D student to he's getting A's. They're investing time in him. He's socializing with people. And even now, he's a junior in high school. He's on a biomed track at a STEM high school at MCCTC.
That they can be the front line of creating a culture within a school that accepts people that are different, and they can integrate the special needs students into the class. They can assist the regular ed teachers, the parents, to just create a whole inclusive, successful environment for everyone.
One of my favorite parts of being a special education teacher is in elementary, you work in a range of grades. So this year I'm servicing students in 2nd and 3rd grade. So a lot of the students that I work with in second grade, I'll have again next year in third grade. So to have them for 2 years is amazing. I have one student who qualified for an IEP in kindergarten, and at the time I was working in kindergarten that year, and now I'm in third grade. So this student I've currently had for 4 years, and I will be crying at the end of this year when he goes to the middle school, because this has been my student for 4 years. I got him when he was nonverbal in kindergarten, and now he's full inclusion in the classroom, and he completely is self-sufficient. And it is my success story as a special education teacher here that I see him. I'm gonna cry right now. He's like one of my favorite benefits of being a special education teacher, because he is proof that you make a difference.
I think you have a lot more flexibility than your general ed teacher, and I think you get to see more. So, and I can be an expert in multiple fields and impact a student in multiple ways, and have a wider range that you can work than in a typical gen ed classroom.
The reward is, so much greater than any money or anything that you can imagine when you see a student succeed that was not supposed to succeed, and you knew you had a small part in that.
That's probably one of the reasons why there's not more people in special education, because it is hard. There's no secret that it's hard to work with people who, in a lot of cases, and I know I've been guilty of it, who will probably be resistant to your help. And whether you're working with a whole class or just one person, it can be very difficult. But, the more time and effort you invest into it, the more they're gonna like and support you.
Why not?
Right.
Just the everyday, just coming in, and there's always something new to deal with. And yes, we do have some students that have some issues, but what students don't?
I recommend majoring in this. I love this job. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'll probably have white hair by the time I leave here. I love it, and I plan on continuing to reach students on IEPs.
People in special ed, with whatever they have, they're some of the most intelligent, nice, and funny people I've met. And so it's good if you just want to work with nice people. That's a really good thing. But also, these kids and later adults have so much potential to do so many things. But for the longest time, they've never had the vehicle to do it. So they've been locked in. They've been essentially locked out of all of these things for most of history. But we're living in a time where you can be someone who helps, and because you're a special ed teacher, those kids and then later adults can flourish in life.
You're going to find a job. You're going to impact lives. Mm-hmm. That's why you're getting into the teaching field anyway. Right. Just do it.
Youngstown State University, you are going to find a faculty who is more than enthusiastic to assist you in learning about students with special needs. You are going to find a faculty who brings something new and different to each of your courses, as each of your professors are distinctly different. And we appreciate the differences that each one of us bring and that you will bring to our courses. We do our best to find multiple ways in which we can engage you in our lessons, so that when you go out into the field, you are ready to work and confident to work with students with special needs. We also use a team approach and collaborative learning, so that when you go out into the field, you are ready to work alongside the general education teacher, the speech therapist, and the occupational therapist. We train you in how to have conversations with parents and how to build successful relationships with them, so that you can understand that you need the teacher and the parent and the student in order to see success in every one of your students. Here at Youngstown State University, you will learn a plethora of strategies and have multiple resources to draw upon in order to serve those students with special needs. And so we know that you will be well equipped if you join the program here at Youngstown State University.
Just do it.